Hey guys, this is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching for, today was Wednesday, October 9th, 2013. And man, it was a pretty good day. And I think I just want to kind of cover the basics. This morning we kind of discussed some of the options that were available. I really didn't think we were going to be able to push over the white zone here of, I guess I hit it at 1680.50 to 1682.50. And then the focus was looking for trades on good rotation with tick divergence. That was the focus. Now, I mentioned in the pre-market video, which I've now posted, I sent to my clients in the morning. It's now posted right below this video. And I mentioned the morning trade can be kind of difficult, right? It's gotten choppy lately, and that you don't have to trade there. You can focus away from the morning trade and still get excellent trade location. So that being said, the morning opened up and it did give, okay, so the basic premise of all these zones without the white zone or anything else is that under normal market conditions, 80% of market conditions, when we get to those areas, we should see rotations of anywhere from 2 to 4 points, right, from the top of the zone. So the most aggressive point to place a trade in these zones is from the top. Why? Because it requires a stop generally of 2 points behind the zone. Okay, and so if you enter at the top, you usually need a 4-point stop, plain and simple. So if you enter at the very back of the zone, you only need a 2-point stop. But it's rare to get a test at the back of the zone on the first test in. Okay, so we also had a situation similar to yesterday. Look at all the pressure we built up in this area, like this right here. And so you knew whichever way it went was going to have a pretty decent move to the downside. So first things first. We opened up, we chopped around. So I've introduced kind of this micro white zone area, and basically what that micro white zone determines is above puts buyers in control near term, right? And below puts sellers in control. And it's a way to kind of give guidance on which way it's going to go. Now, obviously, I would have preferred to have it up here at 1652, but if you look, we were really never able to stretch in the morning more than about a point above the white zone. Pretty good trade placement, right, to get an idea of where we're going to go. And on each close below, let's say you took the trade below, right, when we closed decisively below, you really never took a lot of heat above, right? By the same token, there was also clear warning signs when we rotated low, right? We came down to the top of the zone, first touch, 1647. What do? We rotated right back up to 1649, then we continued to 1651. But still no decisive move above the white zone, right? And then finally, after this whole hour, right, of just kind of balancing here, we finally broke to the downside clearly right here. You'll notice on a 5-minute bar, while we do have lots of snapbacks, right, this bar here on a 5-minute was a clear break. There was no question about it. Broke down, we flushed to the back of the zone. Now, if you took the trade at the back of the zone the first time, you still got your 2 points. Do you see that? Okay, so we're now below yesterday's lows. Obviously, anyone who's freaked out about yesterday is going to be more freaked out today. And sellers continued pushing. We pushed down. Now, we came into the top of this zone, and this is where I called out my trade, where I put it on Twitter, 1643, with a 4-point stop. Again, anything less than a 4-point stop, instead of having a 2 to 3 point winner or more here, what I would have just been a nice loss. Okay, so that's when I go back and talk to my clients when you're deciding on a trade. Okay, there's 2 ways to determine a loss, but 2 things that are very important to measure. First of all, what can your account bear as a loss, and secondly, is the price for the trade, what it requires, payable by your account? In other words, a 2-point stop, all it does is get me stopped in this zone. That's it, as far as I can tell. Okay, now, are there ways to kind of locate this trade better? Sure there are, but not in an easy way to describe via Twitter or easily in one quick 5-minute setting on a trade review. So yes, there are ways of breaking this trade down, but there are not easy ways to describe it in a 1, 2, 3 type of steps. So in its most basic form, I want to make a decision before the market opens as to where I'm taking my trades, whether that's the front, the middle, or the back, and I want to keep a continuous methodology of repeating that. Why? Because I want to make as few decisions as possible while the market's open. because the more decisions I make, the more anxiousness I have, right? So I want to have my exits pre-planned, I want to have my entries pre-planned, and I want to have my stops pre-planned, right? Because the more I'm thinking while I'm trading, the harder the trading gets, right? The harder it is to stay consistent, the harder it is to go and find areas where you're making trading errors. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Again, now on the rotation back up, we did not get a move down. However, we had a tick divergence, a pretty good tick divergence right down here. And also, if you look at how stretched we are from the top to the bottom, this was a big stretch right here, okay? It wasn't 20 points like yesterday, but go and look at what your average stretches are in ES during the day, and you're going to find this is a pretty good stretch for rotation up. So when I have a zone down here, I've called a tick divergence out. I'm not looking to short the zone above once I've got tick divergence. Might work, might not work, but my targets were already in this were 45 and 46, and certainly trailers fared very nicely in here. Same here. Tick divergences tend, not always, but have a high potential of marking lows and highs of the day. And so, at any rate, swinging all the way over here to the top of the day, right? We got back to Globex session highs. You'll notice I put this London lows in right here. Usually I don't separate the Globex sessions, but this is London lows for Globex, and you'll notice it provided resistance in the morning, and then when we came back up, it provided resistance and support above. It was clear that it was important to get above and hold above 1654 if we were going to get any extension into what I ultimately consider the top of the white zone or initial resistance. Now, here's the deal with the white zone, just so everyone understands. Okay, the white zone works like kryptonite to Superman. Okay, the closer you are to it, the more effect it has. The further away you get from it, say over 10 points, right, at least, the less effect it's going to have. And so you can get rotations up even though sellers are generally in control, right? But it would be good to know that sellers are in control if you're here for this push lower, right? The micro white zone, how's that going to work? Because I intend to put it on going forward. Micro white zone is just going to be an area, a small area that's going to help me delineate which side has control and where I'm looking to get control. Now, in this thing right here, right, this is Chop City when I'm looking at it. But I know that as long as I'm underneath this thing, there's no need to hold forever and ever if I'm underneath, right? If the long is going to work here, it needs to hold above. Same thing here. If I'm short, right, wherever I get short in this thing, I know that I need to hold underneath this level, okay? At least from a morning perspective, I need to hold underneath this level to get my sell side. Now, I'm not advocating coming in and out of trades a million times. I'm not doing that. I'm still trading the zones around this, right? But I know that general principle that above here buyers have control. So if I get above here like this, right, I'm not necessarily looking to short into these lows, right? I'm not even looking to short until I get a good stretch. Look at the distance, 1650 all the way up to 1656. That's a pretty good rotation, right? Essentially the micro buy sell line has worked and done its job. On the other hand, the larger white zone, right, if you look at this in a bigger picture, all day long sellers were in control, right, up until we got extended and we got tick divergence. We ran all the way up, and guess what we had over here, guys? If you go back and look at your 1 minute chart, you'll see tick divergence right in here. It came late in the day where we finally got the rollover, and I was tired and I didn't feel like trading, so I stopped. But this was a great setup here. I was trying to capture earlier. I couldn't make it work, and I've had a really great 3 days, and so I just decided to put it in the bank and run away with it. So, also you'll notice, once we did get tick extension underneath here, right, you'll notice once we kind of did get a good extension from our lows, that the zones once again started to be very effective to the downside, right? And the zones also held, first time into the zone, still gave you, from middle and back, gave you a nice 2-point rotation up, right, before kind of getting into this end of the day chop, right? And then if we look right now, it is just after midnight. I should be asleep, but instead I'm up here chatting with y'all. And just after midnight, and ES has run all the way up from the 1648 level, and as of right now, we are pushing the 1657 level. So we're all the way back up here, and I imagine we're going to kind of come and test this one more time. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow. If you're having issues with your trading, remember, there's a couple of things. First of all, find one trade that's working for you and pound the living daylights out of it. If you're having difficulty scalping or day trading, that's a harder skill set, right? So go for the areas and look for the areas where you have large rotations down or large rotations up. Those give you better odds of getting a counter rotation, at least in ES, right? And then the third part of that is keep track of your trades and the statistics surrounding your trades. When I work with my clients, I totally emphasize and maintain a spreadsheet for all my trades, so I know what's working, what's not working, how far the trades are moving against me, how far they're going in my favor. So all these elements added together, right? Trading put as a whole is hard to do, and the reason why it's hard to do is because, first of all, it's hard to figure out what works going forward. It all looks easy going backwards, right? But there are ways to read the market effectively, to get an idea of what type of day we might have before the day even opens, right? And then there are ways to clearly, based on the charts, I can pinpoint prior to the market opening where I want to do business, instead of having to guess through the course of the day, is this the turn, is this not the turn, right? And as the market goes to and fro, I can say, well, I know up in this area I'm starting to look for shorts, right? As closer we get to that white zone, the more I'm looking for shorts. The further we get away from it, the more I'm looking for longs. That's pretty logical, pretty simple, right? And all it requires is a little patience. Once you get the same trade over and over and over again, you start building your account, and then the last step to that is start building your trade size as your consistency rises. And there's all kinds of methods to do that. So if y'all like to have help with that, you have any questions about that, people do email me. You're welcome to email me. Hit me on Skype, hit me on StockTwits. This is a social experiment of mine to see if I can help traders become profitable. That's all this is about. So at any rate, I don't need any gratification. My money that I get paid from the market more than gratifies me. So I hope everyone has a great night. It's 12 a.m. I probably should be in bed since I'm getting up at 5. So we'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.